in Je Souhaite, we had these wonderful scenes of the genie appearing in old film. Here's a real stock shot of Richard Nixon and his wife and his daughter. To put the genie in there. We had to cut a mat of everything because we had to replace everything. There's a little pole or something behind her. Here we shot the genie against blue screen, and we dirtied it up so it would look like the old movie. And of course, that one worked fine. Now here was one that didn't get used. This was a great stock shot that we found of this old guy, and Vince Gilligan thought it'd be really funny to have her watching this guy get hit with a cannonball. So we shot her, a couple of expressions. Holding her ears, looking kind of disgusted at the whole thing. We did her in black and white so it would fit in. And we then combined her with this guy, and I loved the expression on her face. I just thought it was hysterical. Unfortunately, this show was too long. We had to cut it, so you get to see it now. This would have been one of the scenes, along with Mussolini, where she's inserted on the left, and then the Nixon scene that you'll see coming up.
You're a mystery woman, or someone who looks a lot like her.
Well, the computer says it is her. I ran her through Quantico's facial recognition software and couldn't come up with a match in the known film database. And then I took a flyer and checked with the image bank at the National Archives. Voila.
Well, even if it is her, Mulder, what would she be doing with Mussolini?
Or Richard Nixon, for that matter. I don't know. Except that they're both men who got all the power they ever wished for and then lost it.
In our episode Millennium, we had to shoot a scene of New Year's Eve 2000. Now, originally we borrowed a shot from Dick Clark from 1999 because when we filmed this, it was October. It wasn't 2000 yet, and there was no footage of it. So we took this and made a template of the actual footage from the other network. And Bill Millar then duplicated in CGI the 1999 and created a 2000 that perfectly matched it. And as you can see how skillfully it cut right in, and this is the way the scene actually appeared, shot 2 months before New Year's.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year 2000.
In Requiem, I think we did probably one of the best morphs we've ever done. Morphs are pretty common these days. Here's the sheriff with a fairly distinctive face. He turns his head. We try to do our morphs on movement because it gives a sort of a cutting point. Shot the obligatory background plate. Then we brought in our bounty hunter, into whom the sheriff is going to morph, and had him duplicate the same movement. And when we actually did the morph itself, you'll see we did some sort of a couple of temp versions against blue screen, then we did one temp combination. I think you'll find, you can see that's very rough. Even though their faces don't match, you tell me where the morph happens. Hard to tell, isn't it? I'm going to slow it down for you. Tell me where it happens. You know, I worked on this show for 9 years, and I can't tell you where it happens. Also in Rush, we had to shoot this bullet. You could see the tracking of the bullet hole was not that easy to get done. Here we tried different speeds, slow-mo, phony CGI bullets as experimentation. We did some mats on it to see how the bullet hole would come through the jacket. We had to shoot smoke, but of course smoke goes up and down, so we shot it up and down and turned it sideways, and there you can see how the smoke effect was experimented with. See the slow-mo on the blood. Now we tried different tracking devices of smoke in order to develop a path for the bullet. And as you can see here, watch where the bullet is. See, she's walking alongside the bullet, and the bullet kind of keeps up with her. We put that path of smoke there to keep it even with her. We found out it worked better if she actually passes the bullet. So that's what we did there. And here we did this angle with the smoke behind it. And when the whole thing was put together, there, everything tracked perfectly. The bullet comes through, it actually looks like a real bullet. And here as she walks, as she would in real time, she passes the bullet this time. And then she looks, it comes right at her,
Tony.
and we're able to complete the shot. In the episode Rush, people run around at very high rate of speed, within seconds. So we had to do a series of tests. In the camera, this is one of our assistant directors, Sochi Bleimeyer. She was the elected guinea pig for the day. We had her stand on the stage, and the camera moved around her at various speeds so that we could see which would be best to shoot the camera at a slow speed, such as 12 frames per second, which we did here, or at normal speed, or at very, very slow speed, which would give a rapid movement to the background while keeping her in focus in the foreground. Here we went at 6 frames per second, which you will see keeps her in focus, but everything else moving quickly. So we did some experimentations, even going down to 3 frames per second. This is try to make her look like she's really moving quickly. Now, we then did some effects with some blurring to see if it would give us a different kind of a feel. You can see she moves her hands, she moves her head, trying to get the impression of great speed. And this was all done in the camera before we actually did any visual effects to it. Now we tried taking those same effects and doing a little blur effect. We went outside, put the camera in the front of a car, and just drove around the studio lot. Just an experiment. This will give you a chance to see what it looks like outside of the X-Files stage. This is beautiful 20th Century Fox, but this is what it would look like if you were moving at an extremely high rate of speed, so that everything blurred before your very eyes. And we took all of these effects and combined them to creatively work in the show. For example, when we had a guy moving around the body and looking, you could see we created the same blur effect with combination of the camera slow-mo. Here we did an experimentation with her head. You could see just pulling the head off to try to keep the body as in focus and the head moving. And we kind of applied that trick to the shot of our lead getting into the magic light.
Chastity,
And here we put everything together, and you can see
you okay?
that it worked pretty well.